Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another race review here on iRacing. This week, round number 5 of V8 Veterans here at Winton Raceway in country Victoria. Qualifying position 17. We are way down the field compared to where we want to be. Qualifying or practice times during the week were around top 5, 6, 7 in all the practice sessions, but we really didn't perform when we needed to in qualifying. So we are deep in the field and it's going to be a long race. 67 laps around here tonight, and passing is very difficult at this pokey little circuit. So the lights are about to go green and we're about to get underway. We actually take off in second gear because the gearing for this track is so high. We tried to reduce our wheel spin, so we get away from the lights okay without too many dramas. Very tight through this, change of direction through the right, left switch back here through turns 1 and 2, and we're giving everybody plenty of room, trying to avoid any contact and potential car damage, particularly this early in the race. We have got a long way to go, and if we end up with steering damage or significant car damage at this point, it is going to be a long race to the checkered flag. So we get to a point now where we can almost start to fall into single file, come through this section here. You can see a bit of car contact just there in front of us there, and as we make our way through the brake lock up and the smoke, all the cars in front checking up. So we just give ourselves plenty of room. Poor Andrew Hoffman there, recipient of the tag and go through that corner. So we get by on the inside of him without too many issues. But at this point of the race, it's all about self-preservation and trying to make sure we can get through the early part of the race without too many hiccups. As the cars snake their way through to complete lap number 1, you can hear in the background that incident being called into the stewards for review. We make our way round to end lap number 1 now. We have the Taipan Esports car, Scotty Weston, in front of us. Half a second down the road, Andrew Hoffman about half a second behind us. So tyres are well and truly up to temperature by now. We've made our way around the first lap and we're starting to feel a bit more comfortable about how the car's feeling and the track conditions that we are to deal with. Hold it tight through there in third gear and down through this section as well, through the downhill right-hander. Pulled a little bit of a gap to Hoff behind us now, but our focus is the car in front of Scotty Weston and Aidan Rice.
077 for that lap one, please.
Again, feeling pretty confident we've got good speed for the cars around us because our qualifying time was so poor. We are buried deep in the field and we've got to make the most.
Check the corner before that race control on 199.
Got to make the most of the opportunities as they become available. But again, in the middle of nowhere at the moment, half a second to the car in front, half a second to the car behind. So we're not close enough to have a good look at Scotty under brakes. So we have a pretty fair idea that Andrew Hoffman behind us isn't going to dive it down the inside and do anything silly this early in the race as well. Double right-hander there to end lap number 2, make our way back onto the straight. And we've jumped onto the back of Scotty Weston now, only 0.2 of a second behind, but really have nowhere to go with the cars in front, Michael Freeman and Aidan Rice as well. So stuck in a little bit of a dry train at the moment. But patience around this track here is a virtue. So Scotty leaves the door open. We have a good run on him out of turn 2 and into turn number 3. So we have a bit of a look. Scotty obviously sees us coming in our mirrors and leaves the door open for us without too much risk there. So we get that job done, and the car in front now, half a second down the road, is Michael Freeman. So see if we can drag Scott with us as we make our way slowly moving forward. Tyre preservation here is going to be pretty critical as well, because one thing we did notice during practice, the tyre drop off at this track was huge. So the difference between a good set of tyres and a bad set of tyres can be a lot around here in lap time. So we get past the KFC car there of Jason Scoulton, I think it is, who had an off-track excursion. He was up inside the top 10 before that little incident and finds himself a bit further back in the field than where he'd probably like. So you can see him there getting right onto the back of us and probably driving a little bit aggressive for this early in the race, but to be honest, he's probably driving a bit pissed off after the off track he just had. But we felt we had his measure because we showed really good pace during the practice during the week. So flush of the lights there from Jason. Well, little word of warning, all that does is makes me defend harder. If you're going to flash your lights at me, I'm just going to drive with my elbows out and make life as difficult as possible. No need for it. It shows arrogance. So we make our way around now, lap number 7 I think it is. We've got Michael Freeman in front of us, who just drops the wheel off in the dirt on the entry to the last corner, and around he goes. So that was a free position there. We've got a bit of a gap now to the car in front, Matty Parker, and he is battling with Aidan Rice. But it doesn't take us long to get onto the back of that little battle, and we've actually dragged Jason Scoulter and Scotty Weston with us. Again, change of direction there, a little tap on the back end, so you know Jason's certainly hasn't got the same race strategy we do, where preservation is key. So he's out to either kill somebody or get to the front as quick as possible. So car in front there, I think it might be Aidan Rice just dropping a wheel off. We saw some dirt there off on the right hand side. So Paul Hayes right on the back of him, Matty Parker there. Very quickly we become a train of 6 or 7 cars, and we're all congested up again. We're sitting fourth in the train, very difficult to get through here because there's nowhere to go. So Matty has a look at Paul Hayes here going into turn number 1, rides the curb and sort of slows himself down through turn number 2, balks us a little bit. See Matty have another look here into 3, and we just preempt some carnage and leave the door open, and Jason takes advantage of that. So kudos to him for taking the opportunity when it comes, but 100% honestly, I'm not disappointed that he's in front of us. He's probably safer for us if he's in front of us than behind us the way that he's driving, particularly at this part of the race, but we'll just sit behind him here for a little bit. And sure enough, a couple of laps later, bang, you can see Jason getting into the back of Matty Parker there, being a little bit impatient going through that corner. We thought we'd made it through on the inside, and unfortunately Jason didn't hold his brakes and clipped us on the left-hand rear as we went through. So have another look from on board here, just about get through, and we get tagged in the back end and we're off track. So we lose about 3 or 4 positions here.
Yeah, it's alright, Matty. Look at it.
You hear it in the background being called into the stewards for review again. But we're back to where we basically started. So all our hard work in the early part of the race trying to keep the car clean has come undone.
Penalty, car 412 for contact with cars 199 and 067 on lap 16.
You can hear Jason in the background getting that drive-through penalty issued to him there. So that was always going to happen, the way he was driving with the, I won't say aggressiveness, but the need of urgency that he had certainly wasn't needed at that point of the race. So we find ourselves behind Hoffman, Sipple and Mark Peck, I think it is again, here now on lap 17. And again, after that little off-track excursion, we find ourselves behind cars that we potentially feel are possibly holding us up. Hoff's normally pretty quick. Troy can be quick on his day as well as Pecky, but I know Andrew Hoffman had limited practice during the week, so he probably hasn't got the true speed this round that he has in other rounds. So on the back of Hoff here, you just see these cars in front of us slowing us down if we try and stick to our race strategy that we had planned for the start of the race. So as we make our way through the second of the last corner, we just decide to dive off into the pits and get out of this little potential battle that's happening in front of us and make our first pit stop. So into the pits, hit the pit limiter. You can see Jason in front just driving through the pits, getting his or serving his drive-through penalty. And we follow suit to make the first of our 2 scheduled pit stops for this race. Upon exit of the pits, you can see we have clear track all around us, which is exactly what we wanted. We've got nobody around us, and we can just focus on putting some good clean lap times in, but unfortunately what it has done is put us dead motherless last on track. So we do have P1 about 12 seconds behind us now, and we have certainly got our work cut out for us. But fingers crossed a lot of those positions can hopefully come back to us during the pit cycle for everybody else. So moving along now, we've made a couple of positions in front. Now I think we jump on board with Paul Hayes. You can see our car behind. Again, nobody behind us with immediate threat, but we've got pretty good speed because we've got relatively fresh tyres for those around us as well. So We've got to make the most of them while we have them at our advantage. And on saying that, we stick it down the inside with that tight right-hander and get the job done there for Paul. Not exactly sure who that is I'm on board with now. It might be Pecky. Again, pull a little bit of a gap to the cars in front. We're now back behind Aiden Rice again, who we were earlier in the race. And we have Paul Hayes in front of him. So they're our immediate, I won't say targets, but that's where our focus is at the moment. Eyes forward. We make our way around to complete another lap with the Mustang of Roy Clark there behind us. So moving along, we are right on the back of Aiden now. Made some ground on him, but unfortunately, in the meantime, Paul has checked out and gone further down the road. Bit of a puff of smoke there from Aiden. Not sure if his tyres are getting a little bit overcooked or not at this point, but we're still feeling pretty comfortable and confident in what our tyre capabilities are. So you just see a brake lock up there. We sense an opportunity. Keep it tight through here, and we are pulled up alongside of him. If we can hold it through the outside of the tree here on the switchback, we've got the inside for the change of direction. Little touch of bumpers there in the background as Aiden tries to duck in behind us without giving any way track positions to Peter Latham. Racecraft Commodore behind. So again, a couple of laps later, we've now pulled about a 1.2 second gap on Aiden, and he's out of our draft, and we can focus on the car in front. Paul Hayes about 8 seconds down the road, but unfortunately going into this corner here, it's taken us a couple of laps to get that 1.2 second gap, but we've just over-braked ourselves, locked up a tyre. See there, Aiden is about 0.5, 0.6 seconds again behind us. So all that hard work we've done now comes unstuck, and we've got to try and duplicate it and repeat the process. Again, moving along, we find ourselves back inside the top 10 now after a lot of pit sequence. But again, pretty comfortable, but we've got a long way to go before the cars in front are within striking distance. So we decided to pull it into the pits here quite late in the race. I think this is lap 42 now of 67. This is almost at the point where this is our earliest opportunity to make it home in one piece. So you can see there, Peter Latham diving into the pits behind us. Good couple, or I think a second behind us there, 2 seconds as we're in the pits. So we stop for our pit, change of tyres, fill up with fuel, and you can see that Latham there leaving again relatively quickly. So trying to work out how he managed to undercut us there. I thought he might have short fueled because he followed us into the pits and then let us out by quite a margin. But turns out he actually pitted late on his first stint, so that was a quick splash and dash and an early pit stop for his second one, so he's good to get home. But what it has done is brought us back out again for the third time tonight behind Aiden Rice. He is 2.6 seconds down the road. We've got Peter again behind us. We've come out in front of him, so if we can drag him up to the group in front, we will. At lap 44 now. And we've got that gap down to Aiden, down to about 1.2 seconds. So we've made a fair bit of headway out of that. So that indicates when we get to him, we've got pretty good speed. So Aiden's already had his second pit stop as well. He actually pitted before we did. I kind of thought that it might have been too early to make it home in one piece. So I am trying to work out calculations in my mind as to what his fuel consumption might be and whether he is going to make it home. It will be close, but anyway, we're right underneath the rear wing here now of the Taipan Esports Mustang. And again, very similar pace between the two of us, so it's going to be difficult to get past. And I think by him and I battling, it's just going to allow Troy Sipple in front, the blue and yellow car, you can see, just to pull away a little bit. So we've had a few laps here behind Aiden at the moment. We're trying a few different lines, just trying to unsettle him, move around in his mirrors a little bit. Just to find an opportunity there. Again, out wide, trying to pull it back tight. Thought we might have got the job done there, but too far back to make the move stick this time, so we roll out of it. And again, a bit of a switchback, very wide through there. We wouldn't normally take that line, but we're trying to get a good drive out of the corner. We can't get the job done there either.
Inside, Warren.
So Troy's dived into the pits, and that has left Wayne, Aidan and myself now to battle it out at this certain point of the track, or certain point of the race. Bit of a brake lock up there by Aidan, and we managed to get the car down the inside between turns 3 and 4. Get in front for a slight second there, but Aidan's carrying good mid-corner speed and has the preference on the change of direction and back through this here, so we do run it wide. Again, just trying to put him under a little bit of pressure and force him into a mistake. Ride the curbs through there. And a bit of an obscure line, but a brake lock up there from Aidan in front, and we managed to pull up, and this is pretty well an absolute duplicate of the move we made on Aidan earlier in the race at the same point of the circuit. So hold it around the outside of the tree, and then we have to change the direction, switch back for the right hander. So we get past Aidan there, and we can now focus on trying to gap him a little bit and work on catching Wayne in front, who's now pulled that gap out to over a second. Lap 54 now I think it is, and we are back on the rear wing of Wayne in his men over 40s Marlboro inspired Commodore. Again, very, very difficult to pass such short straights here, so you really haven't got a chance to use a lot of draft. You've really got to try and make the car in front force themselves into an error. And at this point of the race, our tyres are feeling pretty average. So we may have overcooked him a little bit trying to get past Aidan. So we have Wayne in front of us, but it's going to be difficult to get this move done, because he's on quite fresher tyres than we are at this point. So a bit of a brake lock up. We managed to avoid hitting the back of him through there, but it does make him a little bit more vulnerable through here. So we get a good run. Traditionally not a very strong overtaking move there, but we try and hold it around the outside. A bit of a risky move, but again, with the switchback and the change of direction, we have the inside line going into the first of the tight right-handers. And of course Wayne leaving the door open there and giving us plenty of room to get by. Just looking back there now, you can see that gap out to about 0.5 of a second there. And he's actually separating ourselves and Aidan. So the idea is to keep head down and try and pull a gap there so our Aidan doesn't become a threat once he potentially gets past Wayne as well. You can see that gap now out to Wayne, 1.2 seconds, Aidan 1.8 behind, so managed to capitalise on that move, get a little bit of air between us. But the car in front, Paul Hayes now, miles down the road, so it's going to take an error for him for us to catch him. So after another pit sequence there from a few cars, we find ourselves back in a reasonably comfortable position, but we have Mark Peck behind us, and he is on fresher rubber, and ours are well and truly cooked by now. So it's going to be a defence race to the line from here, but the idea is to potentially not make any mistakes, because if you don't make a mistake, then it's going to be very, very difficult for the car behind to make the move stick and for them to get past. So at this point, we're just trying to not overcook our tyres, not do brake lock-ups, hit our brake markers, and not do anything potentially too silly. Make our way down the straight again to complete another lap. Still showing pretty good pace from those around us, but we certainly aren't making any headway on the cars in front, and just trying to maintain that gap to the cars behind. So again, want to try and keep it to a point where we don't want to overdrive and push the car beyond our limits or its limits, but by the same token keep enough of a gap so the car behind doesn't feel he has an opportunity just to send it down the inside. Last couple of corners there, make our way onto the straight for the final time, and that just about wraps up. You can see a bit of a gap there back to Pecky now. We blew that out to 2.5, almost 3 seconds as Barney waves the flag feverishly, and we make our way across the line to complete what was 67 laps around Winton Raceway. That completes round number 5 of the V8 Veterans for season 11. If you like the video here tonight, the race summary, please leave a comment below. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel because we are trying to make the channel grow. But that was Winton Raceway tonight. We will away next week, and we'll be back for the following week at Imola, I think it is. So thank you for tuning in and visiting the channel here. Again, if you like what you saw or appreciate the race summary version of the race, hit the subscribe button, let me know, and as we say in all our videos, until next time, keep on punching.